open forum?
We did. We had a question, let me pull it up here. It was more of a comment from a resident at Carlson Plaza. His comment is, I forwarded my information to Patrick O'Neill to alert a need to revisit our apartment complex, Carlson Plaza, from remaining in 24/7 locked position. I have not received any communication from Manhattan Housing Authority regarding this, so I'm now sending it to you to be visited at today's commission meeting, which requires that for the open forum be held via Zoom. Agenda items had to be forwarded to you prior to 11 a.m. on Wednesday, January 27th for their consideration. Thank you for your valued insight into changes needing to be made at our complex. Signed, Ricky Vibes.
Okay, I read that. You sent it to us, and I don't understand that. So could you please explain the problem and the solution?
So since the beginning of COVID, prior to COVID, the building entry doors for Carlson Plaza and apartment towers were locked from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. But during 7 a.m. and 5 p.m., they were unlocked, so people could freely come and go. And I believe he's referencing having in the attachment that he had regarding Executive Order 20, he's having a problem receiving his packages from USPS, or not USPS, but UPS or FedEx. The Postal Service has a key to get into the building to deliver mail and packages. I thought we had a lockbox over there for the other delivery people, and apparently we do not. So we are working on getting a key installed or a key box installed to resolve that problem. We do have one at apartment towers. So all the delivery people have the code to get in that key box and get a building entry key so they can deliver packages to the residents. We have not, although he references Executive Order 20, we have not reopened our offices, and city offices are open on a very limited basis. He also references those. But until things settle down some more, we're not interested in unlocking the doors for free flow in and out. We've actually discussed leaving them locked 24/7 as residents and their caregivers can still get in and out with a key. And it has helped to reduce people entering the building that shouldn't be entering the building and loitering. So that's not a decision that's been made, but at this time, we'll make sure that they can get what they need.
All right. I wonder how frequently packages are delivered after 5 p.m. I mean, I know during Christmas, the FedEx and UPS work, really late hours, but generally speaking, I think those things are delivered before 5 p.m.
Well, right now the buildings are locked 24/7.
Oh, okay.
So the delivery people can't get in anytime without having a building key.
Okay.
And so it's a matter of us putting a lockbox. I would swear we had one there at one time. But, it's a matter of putting a lockbox up and letting UPS and FedEx know that it's there and what the code is, and Amazon as well, so they can get in to deliver packages.
Okay, so the board can assume that you're handling this issue and there won't be a problem in the future.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so will you please tell the tenant that, I don't know if the tenant is watching, but we're doing our best to make it possible for him to get his packages. Okay.
Will do.
I'm supposed to read this thing.
Jan, it's Linda Morse. I'd like to ask that the Housing Authority communicate with all of the tenants at Carlson Plaza when they get the lockbox in place. That would be good.
We will.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you, Linda. And the same thing with the apartment towers people. I was wondering if, I can't think of the word right now, but they're saying that people who live in communal settings should be able to get vaccines. And I was wondering if Carlson Plaza and apartment towers qualify as communal settings or whatever that term is.
Well, not according to my interpretation of what I was reading as far as phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 2 does include like the emergency shelter and the crisis center. But it does not include like residential buildings such as ours. We're not considered communal because everybody has their own bathroom and their own kitchen and
Okay.
their own space.
Okay, that answers my question. I'm supposed to say that there will be no live comments during open forum at this time. The Housing Authority notified the public that all open forum comments must be communicated to the executive director by 5 p.m. on the day before a meeting. So we got that one. So I'm glad that somebody took advantage of that. That's a good thing. And now we're going to go on to the next order of business. You'll have to excuse me. I'm working with two pieces. I've got the documents up on my PC so I can read them very easily. The first item of old business here, I think that's the first thing on our agenda, right? Yeah, is
Hey, Jan.
I were here today to approve the recovery agreement and action plan. Craig, do you want to talk to this or do you want to let Joanne do that?
Hey, Jan, we skipped over commissioner comments.
Oh, does any commissioner have any other comments? Thank you, Mandy. Hearing none, we'll go on to the old business. Thank you for being here, Craig. We appreciate your time. Joanne, Craig, I don't know who wants to handle the pre-discussion on this.
I'll let Joanne go ahead, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the legal side of it.
Do we need to have the motion up front and then the discussion?
I'll make a motion so we get it on the table.
Thank you, Phil.
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the board chair and executive director to sign and submit the recovery agreement, including attachment A, the action plan, to the Department of Housing and Urban Development on or before February 5, 2021.
Second.
And Jamie seconds. Okay. Go for it, Joanne.
Okay, so just a little bit of background. Most of it is included in your agenda memo. It's kind of a summary of the last few months, but as you know, we're required to enter into a recovery plan with the Department of Housing and Urban Development due to our troubled status. And as an exhibit to that recovery plan is an action plan that was discussed with the board members who were on the phone call, the initial phone call, I believe back in October, we first discussed it with the board. It has been through some changes, some revisions that were requested by the board, and HUD did promise to go back and change some of the language in the action plan, which they did do. So there have been no revisions to the action plan since December, when it was last sent to us, December 30th. And I did confirm that with HUD before sending this out. So this becomes the final plan when the recovery agreement is executed. HUD has been pretty adamant from the beginning that the city be a party to the recovery agreement because of the relationship that generally exists between housing authorities and cities under the Municipal Housing Act. In 2001, the Housing Authority separated from the city of Manhattan. We're no longer a department. And as I understand it, chartered out of the municipal requirements. And the city, so therefore, only has very limited authority over the Housing Authority, or limited power, and not even the power to remove board members. So there has been some question on the call that we initially had with staff to discuss the recovery agreement. The city began to question, what is their, of course, liability, what is their role, and based on the relationship from the ordinance number 35 and the related resolutions that separated the Housing Authority, did they really need to be a party to the agreement, since they really have no authority over the Manhattan Housing Authority? And Craig and myself spoke with, and Katie Jackson, city attorney, spoke with the head attorneys. And there is no real requirement in the statute for the city to be a part of the agreement. It is protocol for HUD, and they do like the city to be involved. So this Katie Jackson, and between her and Craig, drafted some language to amend the recovery agreement as it was presented to us, to kind of take some of the city's responsibility away. So for instance, in section 2 of the agreement, taking them out of any responsibility for developing a sustainability plan, because that's kind of the Housing Authority's responsibility to do that. Not only does it have to do with the relationship between the city and the Housing Authority, the city also does not have the resources to oversee the Housing Authority, and have no desire to. The city manager's office has expressed a deep desire to assist the Housing Authority in any way in meeting their goals and having a successful recovery, but they just did not want to be kind of backed into a corner, I guess, with extra responsibilities under this agreement that do not jive with the relationship that we have since the separation. So with that being said, the HUD did accept the proposed language that was sent to them by Katie Jackson, and the Housing Authority was fine with that language as well. So on February 2nd, the matter will go before the City Commission to ask for authorization for the mayor to sign the agreement. HUD did indicate that if the city refuses to sign, the city the Housing Authority and HUD will go ahead and execute the agreement without them. So the agreement is going to happen and has to happen one way or another. HUD prefers to have the city's endorsement on it. However, I don't think they have any leverage there, but they're going to ask the City Commission on February 2nd for authorization for the mayor to sign. Craig, do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I think that was a pretty good synopsis of where we're currently at. It's kind of weird because I think the city and the Housing Authority are in agreement with the position of where the city's role is in this agreement. I'm not even sure HUD is in disagreement, but as Joanne said, it's more of a customary thing. So in order for it to happen, they have to get commission approval. I don't see any other way around that, despite the fact that their legal department proposed changes, it still is subject to final approval by the commission. I think maybe something for this board to know is that it was said to me that the Housing Authority can expect there to be some scrutiny from the City Commission on the 2nd about why there's a troubled designation in the first place, what led to that, all of those kind of questions. So that's, I think Mandy will speak to that in Joanne's place. I can, to the extent I need to. I plan on being there more for purposes as Manhattan Housing Authority's legal representative, but really though, the commission's consideration is where City Commissions is where they belong in this. And so I don't know how they're going to come down. I think it's entirely possible though they could say, no, we're not going to sign this because we don't feel like we need to. And then I don't know that that changes anything materially with moving forward with the recovery plan, but that's kind of where we're at.
And the city is clear that they don't have to sign it.
Well, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know. Well, I think I'll know more. You all will know more when the agenda is released by the city, that will presumably have attached to it a agenda memorandum that looks similar to what Joanne attached to this meeting, but it will be drafted by Katie Jackson and their legal office with different possible decisions that the commission could make. It's my guess that that will include don't sign it as is, or propose some revisions. I don't know if Katie Jackson or the attorney's office is going to be recommending one of those specifically to the commission, or if the commission is just going to make that decision on its own. So to answer your question, Jen, I mean, I think in that memo it will, well, we'll see. I don't want to speculate what's going to be said in that.
My concern is that they understand that if they don't sign it, we still have to follow the recovery plan. And it won't affect how we behave if they don't sign it. Honestly, if I was a city commissioner, I wouldn't want to sign it. I don't think that, I don't think they should be put in a position where they feel like they have to do something with us or to us or about us when that's not their job. So I would hope that at some point, Mandy or you make it clear that their decision not to sign would not affect our behavior. We would still be following the recovery agreement and doing everything that we need to do. That's my concern at the February 2nd meeting, that they understand that.
It would also include our having to pay them a significant amount of money over the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, we have agreements with them. We have binding agreements with them. We have a debt with the city, and we intend to fulfill that debt. We also intend to solve the problem that we're in. And their signing this agreement doesn't affect either one of those things in any way. I hope that's clear to them.
To be
Can
honest,
you answer? Oh, go ahead. You might be answering.
well, yeah, let me just address that point real quick. None of those considerations have been discussed between myself and Katie Jackson. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I'm just saying that it hasn't been talked about with me how one affects the other or doesn't. But I don't necessarily disagree with what you just said, Jan, or Phil, for that matter.
Jamie?
Can I clarify, or Craig, can you clarify that is in fact, how confident are we that we aren't impacted if the city elects not to sign? Like, I understand that HUD seems to have said that they'd be okay with it and move forward, but is there any concern there that we might actually be impacted in some capacity that, you know, obviously we're going to move forward with the plan, but I just want to make sure that there's not something that we aren't considering or that we haven't thought about that we do need to preemptively think about.
I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, practically speaking, the city of Manhattan is so hands off with the governing of the housing authority that even if they were involved in the way that this contract states, I don't know how that would change what the housing authority would do under this recovery plan. And therefore, vice versa, if on the other hand, if they're not involved, I don't know how that would leave the housing authority in a different position, a worse position. So, I mean, just to, I guess, speak more specifically or plainly, in a previous draft that appears to be just a draft that they present in this situation to any number of housing authorities that includes the city, I didn't quite understand what happens to the city if, for instance, the housing authority is unable to perform under the contract. So without like that teeth, I don't know, you know, what difference that third party, the city in this case, makes. I don't really know whether it makes any difference at all. So, and since then, there's even less teeth with the revisions that have been made with regards to the city's role in all of this. I think maybe this is me sort of speculating that HUD used it to go around a housing authority to the local governing body to maybe put some pressure on or add some level of supervision for a housing authority. And they like to have that backstop, if you will, or that security or reassurance. And whether or not it needed to be used is a different question. But in this case, I don't know. I mean, that's sort of been Katie Jackson and the city's position up to this point is we don't even think we have the authority to do that as a city. So, I mean, you could ask us, but we're not going to do anything, you know, if you know, you tried that. So again, it kind of leaves their role toothless, and so whether it's there or not, I don't think it makes much of a difference.
During the conversation on December 31st with HUD, it was with the mayor and Linda Morse, I believe you were on that call, Mandy and I, Dennis Marstall from the city, and Ron Fear. I believe it was during that conversation that it was mentioned that if the city does not sign the agreement, that it would be executed between the housing authority and HUD regardless. They prefer to have the city's signature on it, but and I think it was during the call with the attorneys that it was acknowledged that there is no statute that requires their signature. So, you know, I don't think HUD really has any leverage to make the city sign, and so therefore they have no leverage for any repercussions on either one of us.
Okay.
This is Linda Morse. I'd like to point out that the document I received still shows you Shuck Reddy as the mayor, and that has changed now to Win Butler. So the draft that you send the city commission, that the city commission gets, should be changed, so you don't give them that reason to make comments. I think it would be important to contact the city manager and find out what the city's recommendation is going to be. What the city administration and attorney's recommendation is going to be to the full commission. When any organization wants something badly, they also make direct contact with city commissioners individually. And I don't know how you want to play this. It depends on the city administration's recommendation, but that's always a way to improve the support and get questions asked so that things go more smoothly.
Linda,
Yes.
there are two
Yes.
documents here. One document has the corrections on it, and the second, the attachment number 2 is the completed one with everything incorporated, and that attachment number 2 does list Win Butler as the mayor.
Thank you.
So I think that first one was just the draft, but the final one has him on it.
Okay, has it covered. Very good. I don't like saying this, but if the city manager and the city attorney were not exercising this prerogative of not getting involved, there is no relationship, I would not be voting for this.
Good.
I feel like we've been railroaded by HUD. We have not been even discussed alternatives to this recovery plan that was presented by HUD, and we have been given only limited opportunity, and only with the city attorney's support have we been able to change anything. And I'm just telling you my frustration. I think, I don't know. I appreciate hearing the discussion about the city not signing it, because I was beginning to feel like the city would be compelled to sign it. And my other thinking is that by signing it, the city involves itself in a matter that it clearly wants to disassociate from. So I'm going to be listening carefully to that part of the conversation too. And I think that having the housing authority without the city or an attorney to work on this in the future, we're going to be vulnerable. We don't have the strength of the city having our back like we've had to do in this particular case. So we're going to have to be stronger than we've ever been as a board, and be more concerned about everything financial. And that's about all I have to say. Thanks.
I have 2 quick questions to follow up with that. The first is, Joanne, we did have an opportunity to amend this and bring up our suggested amendments to this, didn't we, back in October and November when we, as a board, all discussed that? So we did as a board opportunity to make amendments to this, and I think that's important because we, as a board, discussed it and talked significantly about it, and considered a lot of the items on here so that we knew what we were looking at. But also, if the city isn't required to sign this, and if HUD isn't going to require, if it's not ultimately going to make a difference, why are we obligated to take this to the city commission at all and put ourselves in a position to be scrutinized by a commission that doesn't have any say?
Well,
because we're going to publicly be scrutinized.
HUD has contacted the city and asked them to sign it.
Right. It's actually an agenda item. And this, I agree with what you're asking, maybe why you're asking it, Jamie. The city has asked either myself or Mandy or Joanne, a representative, and in this case, we're going to have 2, to represent the interests of the housing authority. I don't know if they've asked HUD. I wish they would. HUD is who's presented this item to the city to sign it. It is not the housing authority. We didn't present this. As far as I know, I certainly didn't. And it's HUD's insistence that the city be a party to the contract that has put this on the agenda of the city. And at no point in time did the Housing Authority express its own insistence that the city be a party to the contract that I'm aware of. So anyway, I mean, that's kind of my take on why it got to the commission's agenda in the first place.
So strategically, how can we present, I'm asking this across the board, how do we need to present this? Because we know we're going to get a lot of scrutiny, and some of that could be made very public, and we don't know what light it will be shown in. We as a board know that we have been working hard, and that a lot of these recovery items, or a lot of these items, have even already been resolved at this moment. And I think we need to make sure that we have a plan in place to present ourselves in a way that shows that this agreement is something that's not necessarily reflecting where we are today and how far and how much work and effort has been put into it. So I want to make sure we really have a plan going into this meeting, and we're not just waiting to see what gets thrown at us and reacting to it.
I think one of the important things will be to highlight that this plan is based on the 2018 score. So it is based on 2 years ago. 2019 score didn't look any better because it was a dereg year and we were not scored. 2020 is, I don't think will be standard. Well, I don't know. But I think our score will show that we have made significant improvement. And it's some of those things that will have to be highlighted, I think. And as you said, I think we will have to highlight that we can already check off some of the items that are on the plan to show, that we have been working, the board's been working, the staff have been working. We've had how many special meetings since we initially got the September 2nd letter, and we have been consistently working with HUD and to work through this. But Craig is right. The Housing Authority has never asked the city to sign the agreement. We have been in the phone calls where HUD has discussed the agreement with HUD, but they directly contacted the mayor, and which at the time was Usha Reddy. So it's HUD that's requesting the city to sign the documents. We are ready to move forward, and in some of Craig's communications with HUD and the HUD attorneys, he has made that clear that we've been working towards moving forward, and we're ready to move forward and get on with this.
Yeah, it's again, one of those situations where we've been talking and doing things for months, and there's no recognition that that's been true. I mean, we started looking at this agreement, I think back in October, maybe. And so Mandy needs to be prepared to say what Joanne just said about the years, that the scores were based on now 3 years ago, and that we've already been working on this recovery plan for several months and have accomplished several of the things on it already, and that we did not initiate this conversation, HUD did. So Mandy, as you prepare your statement, because I'm sure you're going to be asked to make one, all that stuff needs to be in it. Does anybody have any other recommendations that she make sure she add to her comment?
We'll have Mandy and Craig present, is that accurate?
Yes.
And yes, strategically, Mandy, what's your comfort level with being put in this spot at this moment.
I'm feeling pretty comfortable. You know,
Duncan, what can I get started for you? Yes, I would like the,
let me mute, Linda. I'm feeling pretty confident. You know, I've worked pretty close with Joanne on this, and she's kept me in the loop on things, and Craig has kept me in the loop on things, and I'm feeling pretty confident. Is there going to be some scrutiny? I'm pretty sure there's going to be some scrutiny, but you know, the only thing I can express to them is we're on the ball of completing a lot of our action items, and you know, this score was a 2018 score, and we're almost, you know, 3 years from that. And our score, you know, in 2020, I think is going to look 10 times better than what it did in 2018. So I'm feeling pretty confident. I definitely understand there's going to be a lot of scrutiny probably taking place. But the only thing I can do is be open and honest with them in regards to that. So.
I think Mandy has a pretty good hold on and understanding of what's been involved in this process, as well as the cause and effect, and we'll be able to put that together in a way to make the commission understand, and especially because she's the financial person, and that's been our biggest struggle, is the finances. She'll do fine.
I voiced my confidence in Mandy's ability to do this.
Thank you.
And Craig will be there for backup for the legal questions, so we're good.
If any of the commissioners want to attend that meeting, other than Linda, who will be there, of course, that's perfectly fine. So, Jamie, if you're feeling like you want to go for backup, or that's absolutely fine.
I'm more just asking the question to make sure that we understand how it's going to be presented, and that that the person that is getting put in the position to stand up can tell the board that she's comfortable doing that. And so I'm more wanting to make sure that we feel that you, Joanne, and Mandy feel good about being able to represent on this, especially in the situation of not knowing exactly what questions are going to be asked, or the tone of what those questions are going to be asked in. And then also with the understanding that there's a potential that there could be, you know, publicity after this. There could be some newspaper write-ups, there could be some things. And I think just making sure that we are prepared to handle those things appropriately in whatever means that we want to. And just thinking through all those pieces in regard to what we're saying and how we're saying it and what light we want to present the housing authority in. So I think you'll do fine. I just wanted to make sure we talked about it.
Thanks, Jamie.
Does anybody have any other comments? Are we ready to call the question on this motion? Everybody's shaking your heads, waving your hands. Okay. I call the question.
Livy?
yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
And Linda?
Linda, you're muted. Linda, you're muted.
I tried to unmute her too, and it's not working.
Linda, are you still there? You're muted.
She might be engaging with the person that she was working with in the background.
There she is. Linda? Hello? Linda, we're waiting for your vote. You muted again. There you go. Now. You're good to go. speak. Linda?
I said reluctantly, yes.
Okay. All right, is that, do we have any other business on this meeting?
I have one thing to say. If anybody follows the news and the new administration, I've heard from two rookie House of Representatives, new members, and both of whom have expressed a great deal of frustration over what one called the grotesque underfunding of public housing under the previous administration. If that carries through, then I think maybe from the federal point of view, from HUD point of view, maybe we'll have additional funding, and that will help us to pull ourselves back into a good standing with HUD. Secondly, I'm about to go off to do grandparent duty. I have to transport my youngest grandson from No Stone Unturned to Amanda Arnold. So for the next meeting, I'm going to be about probably 15 minutes late, but I will be there.
Okay. All right, I think we should close this meeting. It's 1:45. So it gives everybody 15 minutes to get a snack and do whatever to get ready for the next meeting. Okay,
Can I just make an announcement real quick?
sure.
While I am out, as a reminder, I'll be out from this afternoon until I'll return on February the 8th. In the meantime, if you need to contact, Mandy will be acting in my absence. If you need to contact us, please include me on the emails so that I can stay in the loop, because I will be checking emails as I'm able. But Mandy will be your point of contact.
Okay. Will you keep Mandy in the loop of what's going on with you so she
I
can keep
will.
us? Okay. Thank you. We wish you the best in the next
Thank
day or
you.
so.
Thank you.
Okey doke. Bye-bye.
You will. Bye.